Okay, welcome to David's Rebel Code podcast. So, in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to look at asynchronous calls in JavaScript. So, this is often used, it sounds like a pretty complicated technical word, but basically, what it's saying is that in the old days, sometimes if you did a call that took a long time to execute, the user would have to wait until it was done, and then they would get control of the browser back and be able to do things. So you would get this UX experience that wasn't the best. But now, I mean, they've always had asynchronous callbacks in the form of timers and things like that. But now, since application programming interfaces are more popular than ever before, and sometimes getting data from an external source or through a network can slow things down a little bit. What developers are preferring to use is asynchronous callbacks, because what happens is the browser execution flows through, and then it doesn't have to wait. It can respond to other events until what it returns is a promise that I'll get you your data when I receive it. I'll let you know, and then your function's called, and then you can update your screen with the new data that you just loaded and show it on the screen. So I'm going to show that example in the form of a drawing of a picture program. So it's pretty simple. So I've got this. If I use my left mouse down button and then hold it down and move the mouse around, I can draw. So let me draw my first picture. I'll just draw it. And then what's going to happen is, because I might have like 400 points to make this picture, it would take a long time if I made an API call for every single point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a batch insert. I'm going to call the batch insert function, which will do all 481 points simultaneously, but it's still going to take about 4 seconds. So when I click the save button, you can see I can still be doing like other things. I can continue to draw, and then actually it took 6 seconds to run. But you see, it didn't interrupt my user experience. They could interact with other components on the page. And this is important as we become more sophisticated as a society, and we expect more from our devices and our machines. Then web application developers need to be able to deliver. And in this way, that's what these asynchronous callbacks do. So what happens in this distributed application is you're like, but where did the data go? Because in JavaScript, I don't have a database. I mean, I have local storage. Like in JavaScript, you can use local storage and you can store the JSON data in the user's browser. But then if you went to a different location and you wanted to get that picture, how could you do it in JavaScript? There's like no way to do it. That's a problem. So if we hit load, you see you did get the data. Now it didn't save those circle dots because I was doing that asynchronously. After I see the saved only the data that it was given, and then I continued drawing and I didn't save those other circles. So that kind of shows you how the asynchronous flow of the browser code works when you're writing it. So we lost that other circular data because I would have had to hit save again after I made those other circles to have saved them. Now, just to show you that I can add to this drawing, so let's say, I did actually want to save, then I would just have to press save, wait till I get the prompt back that it finished. Now, if I load the drawing, it's actually got both sessions together saved. Now, if you change the file name to like, maybe I didn't like that drawing, I want to load another one, you'll see that nothing happened because I don't have anything saved under Mona 2. But if I were to just draw this triangle, for example, this part like a layer in Photoshop, and save it as another layer name, Mona 2, then what I could do is I could just click click Save, and it's going to tag it as Mona 2. And what I'm utilizing in the API is the where clause. So you can specify a where clause as part of your get data that filters the data that you want to get. So for example, if I refresh the browser or just clear it, now my Chrome remembered that I was on Mona 2, so it pre-filled it in. I didn't write code that did that, it just did that for me. So if I load Mona 2, you'll see that I get just the triangle, but if I want to get the other data from the original Mona Lisa picture that we made, then you just have to put the right tag in, and then you can kind of implement like layers in your picture drawing program really easily. Now, I have no database. All I have is JavaScript. So in the previous video, we learned how to use the functions directly, but this is an applied example. So again, all you would do is import your JavaScript CDN, and then I'm using a blocking call deliberately in the beginning when I load this module in ES6 JavaScript format, because I want to get the API key directly from the data, and I don't want all my code to have to reside inside of an enclosure function if I use an asynchronous call. So if you're not already confused, let me try to simplify it. So here is an example of an asynchronous call where I'm getting the data. And here I specify the where clause of which drawing picture that I want to get from the text box that you saw on the screen. And this returns what's called a promise. So what the JavaScript is saying in the promise is it's saying, yeah, I know you want the data, but I'm going to go ahead and do other things, and then I'll let you know when I have the data, and then I'll throw you the function. So when this function gets called, what I do is I just return the data. So back in the plain vanilla JavaScript, when I call that function on my load button, if I look for the click binding event for the load button, I've called it the promise, and then because I don't use the keyword await, I get the promise back. If I use the keyword await, I have to make this called async of the function of where it resides, and then I can get the data. So you're using the promise, and then you have to implement the then, which returns the result set of the data, and now I can update the user interface. So my user interface in this example is the canvas drawing CTX context for the canvas object, in which I move to the first point and draw the line. So what I'm doing is I'm saving in every record 2 points that represent a line, and then I'm just connecting the lines and drawing the image, and this way I'm able to save pictures. So if you like this video and you want to see more, and you want to see how you can very quickly spin up a data grid and have it sort and filter and show up on the screen. I mean, the creme de la creme of web application programming is probably a filtered, pageable data grid that allows you to search on it. And so we'll tackle that in the next video. But for now, I just want to show you an application where we're applied learning to the API that we created that you learned about in the previous video. So thanks. We'll see you in the next video. Bye now.